guys, and welcome back. This is ChosenArchitect. Today we're jumping back into some more mechanical mastery. So I hope you guys are ready. So today is the day that we get into industrial foregoing. So this mod is very, very interesting and is quite powerful, much like many of the other mods that are in this pack. But to get started with industrial foregoing, it does require a task that, well, you have to do every time you start a mod pack that it is in. And that is we need to get latex and get the processing started with that. Thankfully, it's not too complicated. Also, wanted to mention something real quick before we fully get started in it. Those of you who are worried about this being spelled wrong, it's gonna be okay, all right? It's not super easy to change the spelling once it's inputted here. I can't just like rename it. Unfortunately, it doesn't let me rename the channels. So it's gonna have to be typoed. I'm sorry. It is just literally just a typo. Things happen, you know? We move on and we just forget about it. Now, the first thing I'm going to need is a fluid extractor. So I went ahead and crafted up a few of these. I really believe that having 4 is good, but if you really want to jumpstart the game here, I think doubling or going 16 of these, so you have 2 sets, I think is the way to go. So I'm going to get 16 of these crafted up. And they all benefit from having power, but we're also need something to auto place logs. So placer is a good start, and this factory block placer is a really good option for this. So 4 of these are what we're going to need, and these logs are really simple to make. And so let's see, we should be able to get 4 of these quite easily, and a little bit more of this. Gotta love manual crafting. There we go. And then there's our factory block placer. So this is pretty cool. It will place the blocks right above it. And the cool part is if there's, for example, grass or dirt. Dirt's a good example. Dirt, and then we have a sapling. This is another cool thing that this can do. It can actually place the sapling on top of the dirt. So I've actually used this before in the past, and you can see it can do things like this as well. Pretty neat little gadget, and definitely has its places, its useful places, and one of them is a tree farm. That makes a really great starting platform for a tree farm. Now, I think for this, we should be able to get all of these fitting in here kind of comfortably. I will need a double space here, which I think I can get away with by placing that there, this here, and this here. Now, they are rotated the wrong direction. I think this can rotate them. So there we go. That's rotated. And that's rotated. So now they're all facing in the proper direction. What I'm going to want is to place the placer, the factory placer, right here. And then that is going to be supplied with logs from the bottom with an exporter. Then, of course, on these sides, we want them facing that way as well. There we go. And the same for this. Perfect. And we can just rotate them and get them all facing the right way. And then as soon as I start to feed this with logs, it should start working, even without power. They technically don't need power. However, I am going to be giving them power because it's going to make them work a little bit faster, especially before we get upgrades in them. Now that I have all of the extractors sending in the logs up here, in the middle, I have this pulling the fluid out. And I want to send this to a central location. And the reason why I want to send it to a central location is so that way I can hook up an external storage from Refined Storage up to it. That's right. Refined Storage can use the actual fluids, and it can send fluids around just like a pipe, which is going to be super, super nice. And I can't wait for that. So let's go ahead and get all of this sent just like this. And all of these are going to be pulling out. Now, I don't have power on these just yet. But once I get some power on them, it's going to start going a lot faster. Well, I say a lot faster. It won't go insanely fast, but it'll go insanely fast once we get the upgrades going. But that's going to require a bit more. But as you can see, all of that fluid is now leading to this. So, external storage. So, it's not just for regular storage. It'll actually work here too. We just have to change this type to fluids. Now, the fluid here, it's recognizing that this is a tank. And what I want is I'll set the priority up to 1 to make sure that it is higher priority than anything else. Yeah, as you can see, it'll hold 64K. If we want to upgrade this to another tank later on, all we have to do is just swap the tank out and we should be fine. So this means I can now use refined storage to pipe around this latex, which is exactly what we're going to do next. Now, another place I can get one of these hooked up into is right here. Let's just get a fluid tank full of water. Like I said, later on we'll upgrade this, but I do want water also inside of our storage. So if I hook in an external storage to this, make sure to set it to a priority. Now we should have water. And as you can see, we have some water going here. Of course, if I need to speed this up later on down the road, which I probably won't, I can just simply upgrade this pipe and also upgrade this down here. But I think for now, this is going to be plenty, especially now that we have latex and we have water. We can start processing up, let's see, the industrial foregoing latex extractor, I believe, or processing unit. That's right. So we just need a bucket and we can get back into this mod. There is a little bit to the start. I will say a little bit to the start of this mod. But once we get it up and running, like, things are going to just start flying. Now, the reason I'm setting all this up, if I did forget to explain, I think I did, is because we have to get into this for the nether star processing. Now, we can manually kill the wither, but it's not going to be the best route. We want to automate the killing of the wither. And then we also need ether gas, which ether gas production, to be able to even make the upgrades here, as you can see, ether gas, we have to get into pretty much the end of industrial foregoing, because ether gas is the final sort of in-game material. And to do that, we have to capture wither farts. I know, it sounds kind of crazy, but wither farts are something we have to capture, and we pretty much put a mining laser above a wither. Kind of awful sounding, but yeah. It's something that needs to be done. So that's the whole reason why we're getting into industrial foregoing. Now, let's get the latex processing unit set up so that way we can get even further into this mod. Now, this right here is the latex processing unit. I have given it some power. In the back here, I have an exporter that's set to fluid mode, and we have water. So this is how we're going to send water to it. We also need to send the latex to this. Latex right here, we can just drag the latex into this. And we should be able to also send latex. So we can send 2 fluids, up to 9 fluids on this particular exporter. And I think there's upgraded exporters as well. But it should be able to send all of that fluid. And that's fluid that is coming from this tank right here. At the moment, this may be using too much of the latex. We'll find out. I have all of these powered now, so they should be working a little bit faster. Now, I believe I'm using acacia log right now. That's actually not the best. I don't think acacia log is the best log to use for this. I didn't even think about that. But if we take a look at this processor that we have, so industrial foregoing, let's see, the fluid extractor. So if we take a look at this, we can see that this gives us, oh, actually, it might be the best. We may have just accidentally used the best. Okay. Well, good that I get to show this, though, because the type of wood that you use does matter. So you can see right here that it will get 4 millibuckets per work operation compared to all of the other wood types, which are going to give us less. It's kind of funny that I actually did choose the one that gives us the most. And that's the logs we're using for everything. Now, this is going to produce these tiny dry rubber, and this dry rubber then needs to be pulled out. We need to store this stuff, and then we need to craft it into dry rubber, and then we need to smelt it into inside of a smeltery of some sort. Which at this point, I have a crushing factory, I have a pulverizer, but I don't think I have an automated smelter for simple tasks like these. Oh, actually, I do have a smelter. I completely forget that I'm using this as my smelter. So yeah, this right here is actually what's getting smelted. This is my furnace, so I don't even know why I completely forgot about that. So yes, I will need to set up some autocrafts for this. I think it's just going to be way more convenient to have this dry rubber set on an autocraft to craft, just like that. And then we also want this to smelt. So we need to say, hey, what this is going to be used for. And then we'll send this to our smelter over here. And it looks like this bad boy is basically due. Yeah, this bad boy is due for an upgrade. We're going to have to switch to a better crafter. So to do that, I'm going to boop all of these out. Also, that speed upgrade should come with it. And there we go. And then I'll just use this to rotate it. I love these iron crafters. This was missing in another mod pack that I had played recently, and I was like, man, I think it was FTB Skies. I was like, man, I could really use some iron crafters in that pack. That would have been so nice. But here we go. We have them all ready, and now I have a bunch more slots, and that's just upgrading to the next tier. So again, with this, to get this actually to input, it looks like it's already outputting the stuff via the top of the importer, which is perfect. But if you wanted to configure, this actually does have sides. It can push and pull and all kinds of other fun stuff. It can even accept buckets and stuff like that if you wanted to use buckets instead of pipes, and which would be kind of a hassle, but it's doable. It's all doable within these machines. So now that we have the plastic, we can move into the next step, and that is the dissolution chamber. And this is where all of the autocrafts are going to now start to take place. And this is where like everything happens. This is where you make upgrades. This is where you make all of your frames that we're going to need to get into this mod. All of the upgrades for range and things like that is all done right here. So this is very important, and this is pretty much the main machine in this pack. And thankfully all the 3 machines are up here at the top now. You used to have to sort of fight and try to find where they're at, but these are the 3 main machines that you use to get started in Industrial Foregoing. Now, thankfully, when automating from the dissolution chamber, refined storage works flawlessly with this. Like, it is so good with how this works when it comes to fluid crafting as well. So this is why we have the fluids hooked up. Is so that way whenever we do a craft inside of this chamber, it will automatically apply fluid. Because if we take a look at any of the recipes that this it utilizes, it requires a fluid craft along with it. Most of the time it's going to be latex, but it can also be pink slime and many other things. So to set up some autocrafts for this, let's first get it hooked in. So we're going to need an import cable. We already have power given to it. And we'll also need the crafter, and I've used an upgraded crafter. That way we can have just simply more patterns in here, because there's actually a lot of things that get crafted in this. As I had showed, there's like 40 pages, so over 80 different things roughly that can be crafted. I think I was right with that. Industrial Foregoing, and then we look at the uses. Okay, so there's like 50 different crafts that are available in this, so there's a lot. Of course, we're not going to need to craft all of them. But as you can see right here, just to make the simple machine frame, which is one of the first things we need to make, it's going to require latex. And so this is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and set up a craft for that. So right off the bat, we know we're going to need nether brick. And I don't think I have that automated just yet. So I'm going to go ahead and make a pattern for it. But when I go to make a pattern for the rest of this, it shows me what I already have set aside and auto-crafted. So the things that show up in blue mean I have auto-crafts for them. Which means I don't have an auto-craft for gold gears, which I do need. And then now that I have all of that, I can go ahead and create a pattern, and it's going to automatically put in the amount of latex that I'm going to need. That is perfect. And so when I create this pattern, it is going to utilize that much fluid inside here. So I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. I'm going to go up top, and I'm going to put in my smelting recipe, right? Because we do need to have some things smelted, specifically. Oh, I just put that in there on accident. I need that pulled out. Specifically this, right? So now with that all in place, I should be able to go ahead and request a craft. And I just want to make sure that all of the inputs here are going to go in. I don't have to lock anything. That's the nice part, is it's only going to put in one set at a time. The fluid, everything should be fine. Everything should be set up. I don't even really have to configure the thing. But I can now request this, and we should see, hopefully, if everything is set up. I think after it does the first initial smelt of the items, it should say, oh, I have everything. And it even put the amount of latex in there, as you can see. And there it goes. It is processing. Now, it's pretty slow without the upgrades in here, but that's one of the things that we get to set up next, right? Is the actual upgrades for this mod. So the main upgrades, there's 3 of them. There's a speed upgrade, there is an efficiency upgrade tier 2, and then there is a processing upgrade tier 2. Really don't have to worry about the tier 1 upgrades unless you're super early on in this mod and you don't have access to diamonds. That's really the only thing preventing me from making those. But as you can see, we just need to make sure that we have all of this on craft, and I should have access to everything, it looks like. So all of this for the tier 1, we can just set up a craft for that, and these are going to dramatically help. This is just going to be fantastic. I think everything here is ready to go autocraft wise, and that's even ready to go autocraft wise. I literally just had to make one pattern. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so yep, all of these are going to go in here. Now, you can speed this up by having multiple dissolution chambers. That way you can technically have multiple crafts going on at once. But what you can do is you can go, okay, I want 10 of these. You can start and you'll have 10 of those being processed. You can go, okay, I need 10 of those and 10 of those, and it's not going to mix anything up. It's just going to continue to wait until the prior craft is done, and it's going to start to get all of these crafts worked on. Now, while all of those are processing, this next step is going to involve a mob farm. Now, I'm not sure exactly how I want to set up the mob farm. I think I want to put the mob farm, at least this particular mob farm, inside of a frame over here, or inside of a compact machine. So I'm thinking putting this in a compact machine, but that means I'm going to have to, of course, extend my refined storage into that dimension as well. So I think this is going to be where I set up the mob farms, and this might be where I set up all of my mob farms, honestly, is inside of a compact machine, and we should be able to easily get that set up. Now, I'm going to be creating a mob farm that is going to be a passive for right now, because when it comes to the mob slaughter factory, you have I believe, from all of the testing that I've done, I don't know if that's exactly the truth, but to get pink slime, it seems like you get more of it from passive mobs than you do from hostile mobs. From hostile mobs, you end up getting more liquid meat, it seems like. Now, liquid meat is kind of nice because you can use it to make more mob farms, believe it or not. But the main goal here is going to be, of course, to get pink slime, as that is going to be like our mid-tier, like our second tier sort of material that we're going to need, or fluid. Now, inside this, let's see, I'm going to have to head back in. I was missing the one thing I'm going to need, and that is my network card. So I've just got to get this all linked back up. So I need to tell this, hey, this is where this network's at, and then back in the overworld in our base, I will be sure to put that in here, and now we should be all linked up. Now, grass, or dirt. Really, it's going to be dirt. I'm going to use a little bit of this because I'm going to have the main floor of this dirt. Now, there's something interesting about this. I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to have it layered right here, and I'm going to use the wand. Oh, I forgot. Oh, yeah, I'm also going to need this thing to be able to access my storage. Oh, goodness. I always forget to get the wireless transmitter. So the wireless transmitter, bloop, place that right here for now. So I need a wand, any wand will work. So we'll get this all set up here. And the cool thing is I think this is going to be fast enough, the mob slaughter factory, that we really don't have to worry about, you know, crazy where this is located. At the moment, I should have a range upgrade that I just made. I set up an Autocraft for range +5. And the way these range upgrades work is by default, this takes up a 1x1. The +1 adds a 3x3 area. It extends into here, makes a 3x3, and the next one goes into a 5x5, and it goes up in odds. So as you can see, this is quite the distance here, and it'll cover pretty much anything that we put in this area. And I don't have to be very specific with this. So let's go ahead and craft up the thing that is going to allow the mobs to spawn. And that's going to be blessed earth. Now there's a couple of different kinds of earth that we can use. We have blessed earth, we have blessed earth, and cursed earth. Cursed earth is hostile mobs, blessed earth is going to be passive mobs, blessed earth is going to be both. Now this is used using a semi-stable ingot, which I think is kind of a funny thing. If I go ahead and actually craft this semi-stable ingot, it's I kind of want to be floating in the air here, I think, a little bit, but it has a timer on it. And if you remember extra utilities, it used to have a timer as well. And then when it's out, it will either kill you or explode. I think I've had it explode on me and all kinds of stuff. It seems like in this case, it's just slowly hurting me. There it goes. So yeah, as soon as I tossed it out of my inventory, it blew up. So yeah, yeah, it'll kill you. And I think it's kind of a funny little nod to good old extra utilities too, with their unstable ingots. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty neat thing to show. Now let's go ahead and get the actual thing that I want to craft up. I'm going to be using blessed earth. It just requires iron here. I'm going to use a 3x3, or use what this generates. Actually, I'm probably going to need more of it. There we go. I'll get 16 for now. I'm going to need an ender gate on here to get some power. I love using these inner gates. This has just been super nice. And I'm going to place a tank here and a tank here. So inside the configuration, we're going to have meat that's going to generate, and I want to have it push to the right here. And then the pink slime, I'm going to have it push it to the right, and then the meat to the left. And underneath, we will use storages on here. I think I have some more. If not, I will craft a couple. There we go. So I'm going to get the storages hooked underneath here, but for right now, this should be ready to go. So I'm just going to need to hollow out a little area. Start placing this dirt. Now, I don't think this particular dirt generates, I don't think it generates grass. It might though. And we might have to figure out how to get rid of the grass that it grows, but I hope it just generates the mobs and it's fine. Oh, it spreads. Oh, interesting. I didn't know it spread. I might need to cut this off back here then and make this a different material. I didn't know it spread like that, but there it goes. As you can see, it's already killing the mobs, and it just generates a lot of pink slime compared to liquid meat. It's just a lot more pink slime with passive mobs, I believe. So yeah, I think this is perfect. This is going to be plenty. Right here is our farm, and then right here, of course, is the tiles. This whole area is nice and bright and lit up, so we don't have to worry about it being dark or anything. And yeah, it's working fine. Definitely would be a good way to farm things like, I don't know, food and feathers and stuff, but I don't even have to worry about that. I don't think there's a lot in this pack that really requires feathers. Now, this particular mob farm, it doesn't farm any items. It just farms those 2 fluids, like I said, that we are going to need. And I already have them hooked up, so we're pretty much ready to leave. So long as this is chunk loaded, I think this should spawn mobs regardless of if I'm in here or not. Now, this leads us into the next casing. So we're able to use the simple machine frame and pink slime now to craft this. So the only thing that we need to make sure we have is netherite scrap, which I believe I have Autocraft set up for. Even though it's not showing, I think it's because we have it in stock. But I do have Autocraft set up for it. I have it pretty much going into a crusher. The crusher then turns it into this scrap. The scrap goes into an what is it called? Wow, it's all the names with this mod. It's really hard to remember. An enrichment chamber, and then that turns it into 3 scrap for 1 raw, which is really nice, kind of tripling our output of what it would normally be. So that should be pretty straightforward, right? And we should be able to now make the advanced machine frame. We should have everything for it. So already we've made it to this point. It will craft this first. Of course, it has to craft that in order to have this. So if I go ahead and say, hey, I want 10 of these, it's going to say I'm of course missing the 5 buckets, but I can go ahead and craft a few. Why is it saying I'm missing buckets? Oh, my storages. So this is a common thing. I always forget to do this. It's going to happen to you as well. You have to go in here and make sure this is set to fluid. There we go. Set to fluid. I don't know why it doesn't like auto detect. I mean, I guess it's kind of fine that it doesn't, but yeah, it does need to be set to that. Now we should be able to craft it, right? Oh, goodness. Yes. Just like that, 5 buckets. It's also going to cost some latex. Oh, we can get that started. And bam, we're going to have some prepped up and ready to go for some future machines. Now, you know what? I figured since I already have the farm down here, might as well set up an actual mob crusher. And now that we were able to afford it with the advanced machine that it requires, I can go ahead and set up a regular mob farm. Now, the majority of the mob kills I'm not really after here. I'm actually after the experience that this is going to drop, which is going to be kind of nice. So I'm just using this layered. So we have our original mob farm down here, and then right here is going to be the next step, the next layer, and I think that's going to be perfect. Now I am going to need to pull the items out of here with an importer, and this is definitely going to need stack upgrades and speed upgrades. So I'll go ahead and make sure to put those in. But I think before we start pulling anything out, I really want to make sure this goes into my storage drawers. At least all the drops can go into the storage drawers. But outside of that, let's go ahead and get this set up. So we'll put the range in here, right? And then we need the power, the good old ender gate. And I think we should be fine. Hopefully this will get us some skeleton skulls potentially. there's a couple of different modes. We have produce essence, or we have conserve and not produce essence, but apply a looting effect. For now, I want the essence because I want it to start building up essence into this black hole tank. And so the essence, I want it to push over to here, whereas all of the outputs, the items, I want it to go over to the right. Now, as far as the mobs go, I am going to be using blurst earth for this. And yes, it is going to require this ingot. I got to put it in there to get the craft. And I should be able to go ahead and start getting this in here. And I'm assuming it's going to spread just like everything else just spread. And so once this starts to actually spread, we should get some mobs going here. Now, on this upper bit, though, I do have to make this dark. So I think what I'm going to do here is just use the blackstone, connecting blackstone, and I'm just going to build a wall and then glass. I don't think we have dark glass, but we do have tinted glass, but glass is going to be that thing that I think I want to get an autocraft set up for, because we can make some dark glass that doesn't let light through from industrial foregoing. So yeah, it is called dark glass, and it does use soul sand in order to make it. And so we should be able to make a bunch of this in this way, because I don't think there's another mod in here that offers us this sort of glass. So here we go. Let's craft a bit of it and get it up and running. It shouldn't take too long to craft this. As you can see, it's already crafting more than my my importer can handle. So, and just like that, it now should be dark enough. There's plenty of glass here, and the mobs should start to flow. Now, I don't have this hooked in yet, and this is technically letting light in. I wonder if I can use this ender gate on the front of this and not have to worry about anything here. So I can just run the cable to the back. Yeah, that should be able to power it, I think, from the front without interfering. That way I can use this, get it completely dark. Yeah, there we go. And then use the importer on the back. Perfect. Now, mob drops. That is going to be a problem, right? We're going to have to handle these mob drops. I almost think I should use a filter system for like things like the bows and stuff like that. Filter those before they even make it into a system that's getting imported from. So I think this will just be a good example of utilizing the nullifier, which is a trash can basically. And so what we can do is we can have a laser IO node on here, and then we can use laser IO to send the items that we don't want out of here and into an inventory, and send those items we don't want, like I said, into this nullifier. And then the other items can end up going into a storage, like a drawer, for example, like any kind of drawer, or a barrel, like a barrel. A barrel is always fine. We can have that send it to a barrel, and this barrel then can have the importer on it, and that will import the items that we want to go into our inventory. So for this, we're going to need to make a very specific filter. So we can take this item, do Control O to get rid of my inventory here. And on the up, this is going to be an import, but it's going to be a filtered import. And this is going to be a allow list, I believe. Yeah, allow list on here. And then the items, for example, like a bow, I want to make sure that this goes in the filter. And then we also need a export. So I don't know exactly what side this is on. This is where things get a little bit harder to figure out. We'd have to look. So this is the east. So we'd go to the east side, and I'd pull a card, and this would make sure to be an extract. And so that should extract a few things. I want arrows to be in that filter list. And so now that should pull out the arrows and nullify the arrows. And really anything that's in this list, I want to make sure that I am nullifying and getting rid of. Like, I don't think I need beef or mutton or chicken or raw pork. I don't really need any of those things. I really don't even need wool, and I don't need string either, since we can EMC all of those things. So I think all of these going into a filter would be a good idea. Now, I think this has a priority. We want to set this to a higher priority than the base. So that way it pulls these items first before taking any of the other items that we're going to set up to go to the barrel. well, we want to make sure that it goes into here or tries to go into here first before putting it into that barrel. So hopefully these logistics aren't too complicated, but there it is. And if we needed to set up another filter, we could set up another insert card on this same channel. However, I think we would need a node overclocker upgrade for this. Now to make this go faster, well, we go into our extract card and we add the overclockers to here. We can set this to 64 and this all the way down to 1. So it'll pull 64 items every tick, which is insanely fast. And I think at this point, I want to start pulling out items. Let's see. I don't really need a lot of potatoes, but I will take a single potato here. I'm slowly but surely building up a filter. Look, even glow ink shows up in here. How cool is that? I definitely want gunpowder. I want bone meal. I want all of this stuff. And I want to make sure to get some drawers set up for it before I get this bottom part done. So, and just like that, I have 2 mob farms up and running. I have the importer hooked up to it with the 1 stack upgraded. It's plenty to keep up with that bad boy. And we now have mob drops that are filtering in, including ender pearls, which are kind of nice, so we don't have to always keep crafting those. It'll save on some EMC. We have bone that's actually going in and helping to alleviate some EMC use of some stuff. And we're going to be generating gunpowder, which is really, really nice. Now, the one other thing that I am generating that I really wanted was, like I said, access to that essence, right? And so in this tank, we are going to need a storage interface here, and we can just hook that up to that, get our cable hooked in, and make sure we are on fluids, and we'll set that priority to 1 fluids, and there we go. So this can hold 65,000 buckets worth, which is really nice, but this essence is something that is going to be really nice to have, because we can use that for all kinds of stuff with I mean, even spawning in our own mobs. So this mob farm will eventually, I think, allow us to spawn in wither skeletons here in the future. So that'll be pretty darn cool. If we can get our hands on wither skeletons, that is. Oof. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be getting wither skeletons, but we can spawn in other things like skeletons or any other mob that we want. Yeah, I think wither skeletons are going to have to be done this way, which means it's just gonna be a lot of crafting. Now, and just like that, we have prepped ourselves for industrial foregoing, and we've gotten ourselves now into the industrial revolution. That's a bad joke. But we now have everything ready to go to sort of further ourselves into the quest leading up to the final star. So really the only thing we're missing is nether stars, getting precision mechanisms set up, and then just making sure we are rushing all of the singularities, and then of course getting a fission reactor set up for antimatter. And I think that is basically it for crafting the final star. I mean, that's, and then once we have a little bit of antimatter and we have enough of these final star shards, we can get ourselves a chemical tank that's creative. And this creative chemical tank, well, it allows us to make infinite antimatter. So at least antimatter would be out of the picture. And then last but not least, we would just need to craft a couple of these to make the final stars, to make all the creative stuff. So really, it's not too bad. I think the fission reactor is probably the hardest part, and we already have fizzle fuel set up, so the hardest part is basically out of the way. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I do appreciate you guys all watching. Thank you guys so much for all your amazing support in all the series that I do. I do appreciate it very, very much. Now, of course, it is time to thank the supporter of today's video. And that huge thanks is going to go to Skimv, I think I said that right. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, over on the Discord, becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. And of course, guys, I cannot do these videos without you guys. So be sure to click that subscribe button and, you know, tickle the fancy of the YouTube algorithm by also giving this video a huge thumbs up and commenting something down below. I really appreciate it. I thank you guys so very much. And as always, thanks for watching.